Good. Yourself?
Doing well.
You're at the office today?
I'm at the office today. Yeah, that's a good.
Great. So somebody couldn't make it.
Dragon, yeah.
Yeah. So we'll move it back next week and do it a bit later then, because he was on Europe time. But
Yeah,
if it's easier for people after work,
yep,
we can.
That sounds great.
We can move things. Cool. Let me let people know.
Did you have some stuff that you wanted to?
Yeah, I've got a couple of things done. I'm in the community UI board. I've been mashing stuff up there. We can also have a look at the latest of the email template. The email template, the
PDF.
PDF, yeah. I was just starting to brainstorm out a bit notifications, just as a starting point, and thinking about how that might work.
Nice.
Let me share the screen. So this is on the recording too. Okay. So yeah, starting to think about notifications a bit, because of course we dropped the first notifications in with the export stuff. Here's Wesley. Hi, Wesley.
Hey.
You're really in the office?
Yeah, I'm physically in the office. I think Rowan's just got like a...
Yeah, no, just the background.
I was going to say, otherwise, Curvenote's doing way too well if you got like an office like that.
Yeah. It's starting to get investment. What else do you spend it on? It's just a fancy office. This one costs like, well, a Google search actually.
Yeah. Cool.
Super cool.
Yeah, we were just seeing Wesley this week. Sorry. Oh, here's Liz. Go ahead, Rowan. Didn't mean to cut you off.
I was just going to ask how the week's been. Wesley?
Short and optimizing Docker builds. Fun. Yeah. No, week's been, it hasn't been too long yet. We've got a bunch of long weekends at the moment in France, which is kind of nice.
Yeah, it's the end of May is typical, no? There's one in Canada next week, I think.
It is on Monday, yeah.
Yeah, and then the week after here. Springtime. Cool. So I was going to have a look at a couple of things. There's notifications, some other UI stuff. I'll start off with I don't know if everybody's had a chance to see the PDF download in action. The plumbing now works much better and is pretty reliable in terms of these things completing. What I've been working on is the actual template itself. So we're working up this Curvenote default paper format, and we'll probably have a couple of defaults, but this is the first one. And the idea is to try and get, I guess, close to what an article looks like. And this is a bit further along. So we've added a heading section where at the moment the logo here will link you back to the Curvenote article. So we now actually have the link embedded in the PDF that brings you back to the page. And of course, if you've published that, then anybody can get back to it. If not, whoever's in the project or collaborator can get back to it. I think we might need to, I don't know, just need to do a bit more work on making the headings stand out a bit more. They don't really stand out at all for me. And they probably don't in a lot of papers anyway, but I think they really do in Curvenote. So we might want to up the bold on there. But this is just a big test article that I've got. We can go all the way down to heading 6 at the moment, which is probably more than enough. Call-outs were made look a bit more like what is in the web at the moment. Except they're all blue at the moment. We haven't done anything about putting the different colors in. Did you know you can have different color call-outs in Curvenote?
I'm not obsessed with colors. It's fine.
There you go. See, you can do.
Andrew Willer Robinson.
Yeah,
that's awesome.
So we will rattle that through at some point, but we've just made it a bit nicer than the default frame anyway to start with. What's going to happen next, actually probably later today, is asides. With this template, we're not going to do a wide margin. So what we're going to do is we're just going to bring the asides in as call-outs when they appear. And we might do another, we could do another template that does do the wide margin thing later for for people who want to really make use of the asides in the content flow. Other big changes is this is an image in the content, and this is an image as a high level block. So they're both supported now. They've both got the caption on. If you turn the caption off in Curvenote, you won't get it in the PDF, which is what's going on here with this one. And what this is actually a GIF or a GIF or a GIF. And what we're doing is we're just grabbing the first frame and putting that in as a static image into your document, so that we at least render the first part. And I've been playing with the code sections at the moment. I've put just a background on it. Here's a fun fact: it's really difficult to find a light gray in any of the X11 or SVG or default LaTeX color codes. Just a plain gray, it's always like a hint of yellow or hint of pink or hint of blue, which is frustrating. Anyway, but I've got my hint of blue, which sort of aligns with Curvenote anyway.
But you can't have like RGB codes or hex codes.
Maybe,
like
but we're using MD framed, and it seems to want named color codes from the Xcolor library. I haven't tried putting an RGB in yet because I didn't see that in the docs. But maybe we can define our own code. No, just do a def.
Yeah. Wesley, you were shaking your head that you can't do that.
I'm pretty sure that the default LaTeX you can't. Is there maybe an external package you can add in to do it? To add in hex colors. But I think default you only get like 8 colors or something, which is very glaring and horrible.
Yeah, no, I added in like the X11 names, gives you a whole list, but still it's like off color white with hints.
Hint of blue.
Yeah.
Nice.
Well, not applying it to the inline code block or the inline code yet. And I guess we should on the inline code block do the same as we do for this. This is a Jupyter block.
Right.
But we should align those.
That makes sense. Yeah. Is it just as easy as throwing a minted on around it? Yeah. That's awesome.
Cool. Great. And so that's in better shape, and I think that'll be further along today.
Yeah, it's looking fantastic.
And we can get some feedback
from you, Wesley? Are you?
I don't know. The only thing I can really think of is like making sure the image sizing, like the stretch to fit, stretch width. Maybe you want them to be like I've seen, like if you go down to the Python like random plot, that looks massive, And like, I don't know if I'd want it to take up all that space if it's square. I don't know if there's any way of adjusting that, but I don't know what it's like in, it's like there it's
Yeah.
a more reasonable size, I guess. I don't know if like you set like a max width or max height sort of parameter. I don't know how you'd carry that across either necessarily, but
Yeah, it's a good point. It's interesting, because
Are we carrying across the width information right now? I can't remember. On
no,
the other ones, no.
Okay. And then that's quite interesting because this is a Jupyter cell output.
Yeah.
And the size of this thing relative to its box is like a bit like in a Jupyter cell, though, as in it will get bigger as I replot it with a larger figure size.
it looks like it's like trying to scale to width or something like that in the LaTeX.
But then once we go over to LaTeX, I wonder if this is what the raw image size ends up being and whatever the resolution of the doc is. And yeah. So there's maybe a couple of different things to align there. But I can see, we definitely want some control over it.
And I'm wondering about the centering as well on that.
In the app,
zeros, No,
Yeah.
in here, well, in the app as well. But I mean,
as well, yeah.
in here it's like slightly on the right because you got the text on the left.
Yeah.
I mean, I guess that's hard even in LaTeX to get that exactly right.
Yeah. Need some padding on your right-hand side of your image.
Yeah.
Good point. I'm just going to drop some notes in here.
And padding on the right-hand side of the image, I think is probably going to be hard. But yeah, definitely the stretch width, stretch height, sort of stuff. And I wonder if you can add that in, like on the cells, like if you right-click the cell and then you got like something that says, so it says, like stretch, like if you right click on an image cell or an output, you can choose how it's stretched.
Yeah.
You can do that inline for inline images at the moment.
Okay, cool.
So maybe something similar.
I don't know.
Or like max height, I guess, as well comes into mind.
Is there a way to like convert that, like those little dots there into like a percentage? Because I guess that's how I use it. Usually do it in LaTeX is like a percentage of the column width.
Yep.
Or the text width. Because then you could just do, if it's the full text width, you're going to go in that way. I feel like that'd be the easiest right now for users.
Yep.
Yeah. And LaTeX tends to work. There's a page width. You can set things relative to page width in LaTeX. No,
I could almost swear that I did something with the image. Yeah, no, it should change the width actually. So the piece that you're downloading now will be have a much larger width for that one for the GIF. Yeah. So that actually is the case.
For inline images.
Yeah.
For top level.
There's nothing around that right now.
No. Maybe we should be putting like full width.
Yeah. I think just having the same options.
Yeah. Cool. Yeah, but the Jupyter outputs are a bit detached. So when we convert those to figures, maybe we can do that as part of that. Align it with captions, same width type behavior.
How are you? Because it looked like there was an array as well that was getting printed out on the base article side, but you're only taking the image.
I'm only taking images at the moment. I've got a ticket for taking streams as verbatim. So we can easily have that in and put it in a verbatim tag. Because streams is a special output type, so easily recognizable. Same with error, actually. If you want some errors in your PDF. Somebody might if you know.
Showing how to debug things,
Yeah. And then with the other output types, when we're in the sort of rich display type, we just have to work through finding ways to support the different things.
And right now you just ignore them.
Yeah. I haven't tried Plotly yet, actually. I have to try Plotly. Because Plotly automatically generates a backup PNG.
Yep.
So it could be that renders immediately. So that's a good one to try early.
So one other thing I saw, which I'll slowly on the PDF, is there a way to, so the code block that you had broke itself up, which is great if you have a really long code block, but you might want it all to be on one page. Similar to like, oh, this image doesn't fit here, we just push it to a new page.
Yeah.
Is there some maybe like option that you could have that just says like, don't break this no matter what on something?
Yeah, I think we can do that.
Yeah.
And you can tell it not to break. And at the moment, I've also put on, I don't think it applies here. I put on a ragged bottom rather than flush bottom. Because on some of my testing ones, I was getting PDFs where, because that image was so big and it wanted it on the next page, the previous page content, like the bullet list, was spread out. Yeah. Things like that, I guess, can fit into our next wave of stuff, because when we go into this templating and start to introduce the template, what's not actually in here, and Rowan and I scribbled this down somewhere, was that oh no, it is in here, sorry. This thing, that once you've chosen your template, there'll be a bunch of options that maybe you have access to, so that you can configure. And that can be things like, don't break call outs, don't break code blocks.
Right.
And that gives us a way to slot those in, because they're going to vary based on the template. Yeah. Probably both from a doability and maybe when we define the templates, we decide whether options should be allowed or not to keep people within the journal format or whatever. So I think that's it. Everyone was suggesting that we have some metadata that goes beside the template where we can sort of describe how the template should be handled and which options should be made available. Cool. Great. So that PDF download worked first time. It's getting better. It's getting quite stable on that front now. And of course, now we have these notifications. We added this notification tray. And that's the first step in us now going out to do all the notifications. So that was the other thing I wanted to talk about briefly. And we started mapping out here, and this is mostly me at the moment. Rowan and I haven't even had a chance to discuss this in detail much either. So this is just a sort of starting point. And obviously there's a UI aspect. We have this tray, which we're going to improve. Currently, the items in them, you just click on it and it takes you to the article. But we're gonna make those items richer. And I think going for stuff like this, where you get a notification and you can decide what you want to do as an action from it. So we can go straight to the PDF, or we can go check the logs, or we can go to the article. And we can definitely do richer notifications that let you go to directly where you want to be. And it'll also implement with email, so you can get an email notification, something like this for a comment, for example. And what we want is some really nice comment notifications with lots of context in, and are immediately useful, and then take you to the right place, of course.
This is super cool.
And then what I've just been sort of scratching around is I guess where should you definitely should have control over your notifications. And we're just thinking through when people should be notified and how that should work sort of globally or versus per project. Rowan, you had some ideas on this or thoughts about how, you know, a GitHub style model for some of the more content driven notifications would be fitting.
Yeah. I'm just taking a look at it. Haven't looked at this before.
How do you handle your GitHub notifications, Wesley? Do you keep them all on? You switch all the emails off, or you just watch everything?
No, I don't get emails because I'm in GitHub pretty much every day to check most of my workflows, the GitHub actions and everything. Yeah, I just follow through on the notifications thing, and then if I find some getting too annoying, I switch them off.
So what do you do first then? When you go to GitHub in the morning?
Oh yeah, GitHub's always open.
Yeah,
like I said, it's mainly because all of the CI/CD testing is done in there. So it's always open, and you got like the little notification thing at the top. And then I'll just go through, and then your different projects down on the left there, all the different repos actually. I'm not quite sure what the equivalent of a repository is, and then I just click on the repo that I'm working on the day. So that I've got work repos and I've got open source repos that I contribute to. So I just make sure like when I'm working, I just click on my work repo and get everything through. It's like
you go to the
top right, like you got the
GitHub
notification.
home.
I go there.
Yeah,
and then you see on the left, you got your repositories. So then I just like click on the one that I'm working on, like my work repository.
Okay.
And I'll just see the stuff through from that. It might be good, like actually, if they had rather than having a repository level, you had a group level. So like I could see all of the stuff that's going like under software underground, for example.
Okay. So like a team level thing, rather than just a per project by per project.
Yeah, I mean that's the only gripe that I'd have with GitHub.
Okay, so you head for here directly, because it also gives you this sort of less intense
on the homepage
activity feed.
Yeah, but activity does like everything, so it tells you like who's committed to stuff and things like that. Whereas in the notifications, you get notifications on issues that you on pull requests, on the GitHub actions, which is the main stuff. So like I don't really care that like Rowan's committed to a new project sort of homepage. I mean,
cool. So the activity is about sort of friends or people you're following, teammates. Yeah,
and has nothing to do with any sort of work thing. Whereas the notifications is where you get your issues through. You can like when you subscribe to issues, that's where you get all your information from.
Great.
Seriously, I haven't been in GitHub notifications in ages. I just like get all of the emails coming through and scroll through and ignore most of them.
Okay. Yeah, you've got a bunch of filters here. Cool.
Good point, Leslie.
So on a particular project as well, you can decide on your granularity, can you? Or you just watch?
I think generally when you start something, it just comes through all of the information, and then you can like switch stuff off. Yeah, and you can like subscribe if you go to like an issue or something like that, you can subscribe to an issue, a given issue. It's like if you want to follow what the fix is for something.
Yeah.
Yeah, down there on the it says notifications. You can click subscribe and unsubscribe.
Yeah. Cool. Yeah. And that is specifically, that's beyond the watch as well.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So you can just you can subscribe to different repositories. So I can be going, I found a fix in HoloViews or something like that. I submitted a pull request, or I've seen an issue that I've got the same. I just like to be kept up to date with any advancements on that issue.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know if you quite need to go into that granularity in Curvenote. It's like you don't want to be going, I want to know if there's any changes in this cell. It seems a bit, yeah, I don't know.
Yeah, I guess it depends.
So, I mean, you could be notified if there was an update to a formula, for example. Like there's a formula or an equation. You go, I want to know anything that happens on this formula. Could be useful.
Yeah. Yeah, I guess we build things up slowly and take the high level actions first, or the high level things, because things are based around projects at the moment. So it makes sense for project owners and editors to be able to be notified of when things go on. And then we can figure out what people need beyond that. As projects grow, you know, you might just want to be able to listen or watch an article or a particular notebook rather than the whole thing.
Yeah, that's super cool. Yeah, and I think comments and new versions of articles, at least, are probably the most important
Yeah.
notification.
New drafts?
The way Confluence does it, at least in comparing to them, is they don't notify on anything if it's in draft form, and it allows you to write, and then you commit a version, and then it notifies people for in-app notifications, which is a bit different than, or at name notifications. It's a bit different than how Google Docs works or something, where you're notified immediately as soon as you write that.
Yeah. And then I wonder if sorry, go on, Liz.
Oh, I was just going to say, I wonder if there's a use for folks to get a warning if somebody is editing on an old draft and then save something. Because I had this happen, that somebody went in and just ignored the warning that they were using an old draft and then saved a notebook. And I had to go in and fix things. So maybe just a warning that, hey, your collaborators did this. Maybe they weren't paying attention. You might need to fix things now.
Yeah. I think, I can see how that would be useful at the moment.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think a daily thing or some time-based thing where, because the thing about drafts is we aren't going to do anything when, as people type, you get notified. Like in Google Docs where somebody just suggested this change to your article. But if it was the sort of thing that Rowan worked on this article today, so there was activity in the draft and the stuff that you might want to go and have a look at, but you don't get any granular thing. It's almost starting to go into analytics rather than notifications, isn't it? Here's your 3 projects. In this project, these 3 articles were worked on by XYZ.
Yeah.
But
I don't feel like I'd want a notification on that, but I would like to see something like that if I open the article and be like, oh, I wonder who's working in here, or is so-and-so done their job today?
Like a Git graph. A VS Code graph just for the show activity.
Yeah. I think maybe a lot of that stuff can be linked into better sort of presence and diffs. Or since you were last here.
Since you were last year, yeah, I like that.
Mhm.
You can always have it as it jumps through the thing as well. It's like you scroll or something like that. Just scrolls to each like diff straight away.
Mm.
And you can just like click a button just to stop it, I guess, quickly. But like, or you can have almost a button at the top saying "Show me what's changed" or something like that, and it just scrolls through to all of it, jumps to the cells, so like through the text and has like that sort of like black, like grey, transparent thing, so you can see what you're looking at.
Yeah.
That would be awesome.
Yeah. That's nice. Just see the changes in the draft to the last version is sort of almost like suggest mode, but oh, that's a diff, really.
Well, I guess you guys do the diffs quite well. Like the cell diffs from memory. I mean, I haven't used them too much recently, but the cell diffs turned out nicely, sort of like on that side-by-side view, and it's got the
Yeah.
It's just like rather than having to know what's been diffed each time, you just go if it just like points you to the stuff that's been changed,
Yeah.
rather than having to guess where the stuff's been changed.
But I guess it's specific then to since you've been there last. So would that be then since you saved something last, or would it have to track like when the last time you edited something? Because obviously there could be multiple people saving new versions since you last saved a version. So you would want to see all of those. So.
Yeah. That's quite involved.
Yeah, I'm thinking through all of the stuff that we would need to know to actually know and like compare diffs of the last time you got to somewhere up to now. That's super cool. I like the GitHub review piece does that actually quite well, as they know which commit you last reviewed a pull request at, and then look at the changes since then.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. When you're in review mode, you can mark things as consciously viewed as well.
Yeah.
Aren't you? Yeah.
I feel like a good first pass would even just be like from one version to another, if you just wanted to see which cells it even changed, or which blocks, I mean. Because then you just know, oh, this didn't change, I can just pass it up. Because you never quite know, oh wait, which version was I on? Did I change this block or not? Because that would just be an easy one. You're like, oh, okay, cool, I know where to look. Rather than rereading an entire paper, article, thing.
Yeah. Yeah, we can definitely start small. Start slowly. Get people to use it as people build up the content, find out what people really need and where to add it. Because otherwise it's too easy to add all the things. And you find out that they're not useful, or worse, they get in the way because they're not the right way around or something. Cool. But I guess expect some movement on that soon, though, on the email front and on a few more notifications being added and the richer notifications. And we'll change that tray a bit, because the tray is great and it's a bit of a drop-in component, but it's not quite got the same style as the rest of the app, which we need to fix. Cool. But it's great to have notifications. Has anybody pressed the enable desktop notifications button yet? I haven't, because I don't do that. I don't do that much, to be honest. But when you first bring this up, you get a little thing here which you can enable desktop notifications, and then you get it outside your browser.
Yeah, it's kind of strange that, and I mean, this is not our component, but there's no way to disable them, and there's no way to enable them after you've
dismissed it.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So like it would be nice if there was a toggle there.
Yeah,
Maybe
we
that's
can be a bit more
feedback that we can
consistent.
give back over to them.
Yeah.
I feel like I tried to press the button and it just told me there was an error, and then I was like, okay, well it's gone, so it's fine. I don't know.
Yeah.
I'm not getting spammed.
Okay.
So I don't know.
We're probably going to take over that box, and
Yep.
be able to decorate with a quick way to get to your settings, things like that, desktop notifications.
Yep.
Probably, yeah.
That's super cool though.
They tend to be hard to get rid of anyway, desktop notifications for everybody. Lots of sites try and trick you into enabling them, and then it's like, right, how do we get rid of this thing? It makes me feel that you have to go into Chrome settings and kick them out. But surely that can't be the case for everybody, or apps that are trying to be nice.
Yeah, I have no idea how to turn off the desktop notifications now that they're on my computer. So, which is
I think they must be
strange.
in here somewhere. No?
Yeah, I'm
If
sure
you dive
they are.
in there,
Yeah.
cool. And here's the other thing which I'd sort of started on, but I think I haven't done much yet before the meetup, is I'm going to revamp a bit of a revamp of the notebook UI in the app, and some of the design changes around this bar. Especially, the things like the coupling of the code and output blocks. So haven't done anything yet other than pasting 2 screenshots, but watch this space. Or come and feel free to hack around in that space as well if you've got ideas. But I guess, yeah. I think better visual hints and something that shows the hierarchical information relationship between the output and the code block. It makes it easy to know how to flip through different code cells and the outputs that came with it.
One thing that might be useful as well that I've tried to, I ended up doing a couple of times, is when you go from a notebook, if you've uploaded it from Jupyter or inside the editor,
Yeah.
is copying multiple stuff across, or just being able to hide all the inputs or something. So that's in Jupyter, a typical thing when you do a presentation, you just want the outputs, and you don't want the code cells. It's just hide all inputs or something like that, and just hides everything.
Okay. Or maybe create article with all outputs.
Oh yeah, I'm not quite sure the whole use case or something like that, but I found myself multiple times just copying output across, output across, output across, output across to go to the article.
Yeah.
Because when you got a notebook, that's pretty much the documentation of an article anyway. Is you end up just recreating the notebook in an article with all the cells from the notebook, but dropping the input cells. It's almost if you could have on your if you could have on your notebook, it's just remove input cells. You could almost just write the article straight away there.
Yeah.
Sort of. I know you get some extra stuff in the article that you don't, but
yeah.
Yeah, I definitely like the idea of the multi-select on pieces, just being able to, I want these cells and I'll bring those ones over. That would be
just the generic shift and control sort of thing.
Yeah. But yeah, the hide, and then you could use the notebook, show the notebook in a cleaner way. And as long as that doesn't create a new version or somehow disturb the round trip, so that you can still, go back to Jupyter and it's all there, and save a new version.
Well, I guess the hide thing's a pure UI thing. It's just dropping out the divs that hold the input text.
Yeah, just to view options.
You could probably actually just hack it, just completely just put display none or something and a div. I'll try that.
Yeah.
If it works.
Yeah, that's cool. And that's without actually generating an article. That's just like a thing at the top of the thing saying hide code cells. Yeah. That's super cool.
Feels like that's something that Observable
I've actually just
does.
done it. I've just done it. So like if you go into a document, or I can either share my screen, I guess, or
Yeah, go on. Yeah, let me
you just need to enable it.
give you the host.
I'm pretty sure. Right, cool. Yeah. Share my desktop. You got my
In the
desktop?
inspector, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Killing themselves. Nice.
So this is the how
This is
to.
just a generic thing, right? I mean, you got all your code cells in there, so you just grab your inspector, stick it on there, and in the display for HLJS, whatever the hell that is you just type none. Oh, you just stick it to none. And now if I go and have a look, so I've lost all my input code cells. So now I can just see my outputs in my document. I guess how I want. I mean, that's pretty much all I was expecting from the hide button.
Yeah.
Like maybe be able to hide specific cells, like this one here, as I know it's pretty useless. So like I can just click here and just click hide.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean that's pretty much what I'd expect. And then obviously you hide the
block
version,
yeah, in the menu. Yeah.
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 Maybe if you go like rather than doing what I did, is if I hit so where are we here? It's a span. Is that the div? No.
Higher up.
Could be inside an iframe as well.
Yeah, keep going.
That's the body.
There's a no, but that's the body in an iframe.
Oh, Christ.
Because this is a unsafe thing.
No.
So keep going.
That's the one.
You're getting closer.
There's no display on that one, though. It's still up higher. No, it's not there.
No. I don't think you had it.
It'd be that one, wouldn't it?
Yeah. Yeah.
Is there a display in there anywhere?
Yeah, you I don't think you can.
I don't think it'll be isolated in a thing on its own.
Class similar to the highlight.js.
You have to put it in the style attribute.
Get that one color
per element, and yeah.
Yeah. Whereas if you do it with the rest, just delete it. There you go.
Yeah, cool. Yeah, I get you there. And then because you're not writing anything else, you're making the notebook more presentable straight away. Yeah.
And I guess you could maybe like have a toggle or something like that to remember your choice. So like if you're sharing it with someone, like maybe I don't know, or like if you're sharing the link, maybe it's like you can say like in the share link where it like produces the link for you, you could have like toggle inputs or something like that, and you just like click it on or off, which effectively means that when you're sharing it with someone, they don't see your inputs.
Yeah.
And then you have like a little hide button, I guess.
So like for the people in the project, then having something that says like there's hidden cells, just because I could see people like hiding cells and you're like, oh crap, did they just delete all of my cells? Because people do that. So some magical thing that saves you from having a mild heart attack.
You can have like a dotted line, like just like a dashed line or something across.
Yeah.
To sort of show. What did you do, Rowan, when you know that article thing that you did that had like your different levels of detail? Did you do anything in there, or is it just like plain hidden?
Do you want to show
it? That is just. Yeah, I'm happy to bring it up.
Yeah, I'll make you.
Yeah, this guy is. Well, so this, certainly where we're aiming to go, and being able to actually just show a lot more stuff, and I think that could work, kind of interestingly, of like a show code that sort of comes with you, as you're scrolling, and allows you to hide stuff anywhere in the document, maybe.
But there you're not showing what you're hiding. It's like you can't see what pops up each time. Like on each different level of detail, it's like you just see that the page has got bigger or longer. You can't actually see what's appeared. For example, in this case.
Yeah. There's certainly like no animation or anything that sort of like shows which part is at a level of detail. I think we could add something like that sort of like pops in nicer. Just like, I think this, like the quote, for example, starts to get bigger, and just having that like fade in or sort of like pop a little bit. Like it did.
I wonder if there's something that's like a drop down kind of thing where you've got everything in mind, but you're like, oh, I want to read more, like a little plus or
the details
menu, kind of like, oh, I actually do want to read this, or just this bit. Like, what's the equation for that? I think I've seen it before.
Yeah, the other thing that I was like am starting to get to with the inline references is being able to hover over and get some quick information on these are links, but inline references. So this would be your equation, for example, or your figure reference that you could throw in there. It sort of allows you to visit a website without actually going there.
What other thing could be cool with that as well, if you go down that line, is like when you do in GitHub again, is when you do a PR, is it shows you the file changes, and then you got like just the file change, and then you got the above and below, like click arrows to see a bit above and below it. It's like if you've inserted a cell from another place, it's like you might want to see what the context is that cell's being used in the other documents. Like just being able to see the cells above and below it in like that sort of hover over effect would be could be a nice idea.
Yeah, I really like that, especially for output. Seeing like hovering over and seeing what the code was specifically, like because right now, while we're sort of missing that link back from output to code and to notebook, and being able to jump back and forth between those. Yeah, I really like this. Being able to get more information before you actually go to a place. Because that's a lot of times I feel like you don't even need to visit the page then. If you're like, just have some ideas. Yeah. Yeah.
Cool. That's all I had to share. Don't know if anybody else had anything. Else.
So, I mean, my one thing. Oh, I'm gonna steal the screen.
Yeah.
One thing that I was doing last week a little bit more was these, like being able to change the heading and that sort of thing, which is kind of nice. And then we're moving into labeling these things. And so that's allowing us to do things like cross-referencing and being able to ID exactly what section you want to talk about, which will be certainly goes all the way down to LaTeX, but also will be things like ID and being able to then go to abstract. So, and I think Wesley, you mentioned something like that you wanted to be able to like give a direct link to some place down the page, rather than just a block.
How Jackal does stuff like that for the blogging, and that's how I created it. Like I've done all my cross-referencing inside my pages and across pages. And it does it all pretty much automatically. I think like with titles, it takes the first. I don't know how it all works internals, but I've never had a problem with it so far. I haven't like tried to get a bug to occur, like calling multiple places the same name. So it could be like a good default sort of thing. So like you automatically get it without having to do anything.
Yeah.
And then
yeah,
I'm not I'm no Jack expert, so I can't tell you all the stuff that it's useful, but it's worth looking at.
Yeah, I will definitely take a look at Jekyll.
Oh, just looking back at the release notes, because Rowan, you did a bunch of stuff in the editor. There was the heading thing you just shown. The header elements are now all different sizes. That was true yesterday. Now H5 and H6 are the same.
What?
But it's because, I shifted things around a bit because we're aiming for this. Are you talking about in the web app?
In the web app, yeah.
Sorry. No, that's not changed. In LaTeX, H6 and 5 and 6 are the same.
Gotcha. Yeah.
Just because we're aligning with an article document style.
Yeah.
And that doesn't like chapters. So I had to nudge things down.
Gotcha.
Here's a real detailed mean question. Are all of the headings the appropriate sizes when they're created inside a callout panel?
Say that again. If you have a callout.
So if you have a callout panel and you create headings inside of it, there were some issues with the sizes not being correct, if I remember correctly. I think there was something with like if it was 1 and 3, it was the same.
Those are all fixed now,
Okay,
and that was everywhere, not just in the callout panel.
Okay, I couldn't remember. Testing. There was like something different in something I found.
Those are all the same size, or all different sizes rather.
Okay. It was like something I documented as soon as it happened, because otherwise.
Yeah, totally.
Cool.
Yeah, cool. Yeah, the toolbars are lovely. I do like the toolbars.
Yeah. Super cool.
Cool.
Awesome. I'm loving the styled code output as well, Steve, in the minted side of things.
Yeah.
This guy. Yeah.
Yeah, the mint's pretty good. It's actually does quite a lot. It does quite a lot in the LaTeX render. It uses pigments, which is a Python syntax highlighting library for all the languages. But then it does stuff like render that. It renders that, saves the text or snippets off in file in a temporary cache, and then brings those back into. So the way it comes in with LaTeX is involved. See, but it's working. It's good, and you've got a whole bunch of different code styles to choose from the standard pigment library. This one's friendly. It's called so. Rather than Monokai or Railscasts or Xcode or something. Yeah.
That's awesome. Fantastic.
Cool. Great.
If you said everything's inside iframes, does that mean we can now do HTML in Markdown in Jupyter cells? HTML in...
Not everything is in an iframe. So the HTML in Markdown, we're still treating that as safe, I suppose. And so we're converting it to a known schema that removes a lot of that HTML. So at this stage, the answer is no there. Yeah.
Yeah, and then we render it as plain text in the Markdown. Yeah.
So we basically convert it to a JSON data structure that we know is all secure, and then we convert it back to something in HTML. And so don't allow you to do too many weird things there.
I wasn't necessarily weird. It was going back to that one of the alerts call out, right? Alerts.
Yeah.
And like almost an alert could be automatically switched to a call out, I guess, like inside the thing.
Yeah.
But that was like the main thing. And I just double checked the paper that I had an alert in, and it's still written div class alert.
I think that side of things I'd like to, because we don't recognize images at the moment, like IMG tags with width in them, and that's something that we should be
equations,
like an iframes as well.
Equations, which
an iframe, like an iframe of an image or a video, like if you got an embedded video inside your notebook.
Right.
You can just iframe a YouTube video, for example, of your demo. Whereas at the moment, you've got to bring that back in. I mean, I know you can do it inside Curvenote, but it's not.
Yeah.
And it doesn't render on the Jupyter side. Yeah, I think this is something that I'll be doing a little bit more of in the coming weeks, probably. Is just improving that backwards and forwards from Jupyter to Curvenote, because that's ideally through Mist as a markup language extension to Markdown, but that doesn't work inside of the notebook. Like the notebook expects you to do HTML and callouts and that sort of thing, but yeah, so it's certainly a mix, a bit of a mess.
Because Mist's adopted by Jupyter Book, but it's not in the lab or notebook yet.
No.
Yeah.
No.
Yeah. And then I guess that'll need some work on the extension side as well in order to, if somebody starts off with a local image, to help them move it into a cache, or help that be the start of the round trip.
Yeah.
But then give them a way to update it as well from local.
Yep. Yeah, that whole story is a little like we need to know where the image is on disk, compare it to the one that we know about in our platform, and then allow you to go back and forth with local file paths, and in the platform, different file paths.
Yeah,
and not miss that information.
Exactly. So because at the moment the only meta state is actually embedded in the notebook and is about the notebook cells. And this is something where the Git integration is pointing us and the CLI use is pointing us as well, that there's maybe a bigger or more of a metadata store associated with where you're working. No?
Oh, I see. Like
on disk.
Yeah.
So that we know what that image is. The one on disk was the one that we sent up there, and so we'll start figuring that aspect out. But round trip, just seamless round trip is the aim.
Just all back and forth, allowing you to work in whichever way you want to work.
Could you effectively treat because when you're in edit mode in Jupyter on a Markdown cell, it's all in pure text, whatever. Could you somehow treat the rendered Markdown as like an output cell and then just copy that across? So because when you're in Jupyter, when you got an image as input source, whatever, blah, 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 is when you bring that across. Like when it's rendered is when you're not editing the cell, is it's already got the image embedded into there in that case. I know it wouldn't work for iframes, but rather than keeping stuff on disk and checking, I'm not quite sure if I'm clear.
No.
No, I'll share my screen real quick. I'm probably
go on.
I'm not sure I've got anything of any use anywhere. Let's start up at Jupyter terminal.
I guess the context for me saying on, just why I bring this up, saying on disk was because a lot of the notebooks have imported they have images in with their local dot images dot something PNG path, and people have built up a little assets folder that they're using.
Yeah,
so not necessarily that we have to keep storing stuff on disk, but it might originate there, and we have to go looking for it there in order to get it at the first place. And
yeah, and if you change it in Curvenote, maybe we eventually help you change it locally as well.
Yeah.
So let's try and see if this is going to work. If I create a new notebook here, I'm pretty sure that I should have in here. Probably should have created it there. I'll just create it here actually. Create a new one. Discard. So here is, I can see, like I've got this image, Apple Touch icon.png. And then if I go to a markdown cell, you go image source equals Apple Touch icon.png. So there you go. So like when you're on the pure markdown, it's going like this. And rather than copying across that as pure markdown, is if you have the rendering somehow. I don't know if you have access to that inside the Jupyter with the extension or not. But it's already been rendered. And obviously this wouldn't work if I did an iframe.
Does Google let you do that? I don't think Google lets you do that.
Isn't it?
I feel like that's, they don't.
I can do Curvenote.
You can probably do Curvenote actually.
No www.
No, it didn't work either. Oh well, it don't really matter. You get the idea.
Yeah.
Is accessing this directly rather than accessing the file it comes from. In always treating that as a rendered cell. I don't know where that data's stored, if it's accessible from Jupyter, like in the text straight away. Well, it's probably not accessible from the text, but if you can get it from your Chrome extension anyhow.
It's rendered in the page, and so we certainly have access to the actual image.
So if you were to, back in your notebook, if you were to sort of shift right click and view as source, for example, it's going to be data URI based image in there.
I don't think that that's actually a data URI. I think they actually use a server on the inside of Jupyter for the back end. And so that, Whoa, how did you do that?
Shift,
yeah. That's the thing. Like,
oh my God. Okay.
Okay, so it's hitting that endpoint. So we can ask the Jupyter server for it.
Oh my God. Okay, that's very nice.
Yeah.
It's definitely bad UX, I think, when you like double click, like, I don't want that.
It does say somewhere. I found that shift thing. It's just really subtle. See, right shift to click for the browser, but it's disabled, so you sort of ignore it half the time. But,
yeah, so there you go. So maybe the images, you can get access to that somehow. I don't know if you can embed a normal iframe. Certainly, if I go to
I think we might have to do more than that, because somebody might. What we need to figure out is what if somebody updates the PNG on disk and expects that to kick off the update. Because imagine somebody's bringing that in from a separate tool that they don't have in Python. You know, I spoke to some people who they've got the stuff in Jupyter, but they also have this stuff in an images folder produced by a bunch of non-Python stuff or screenshots that they bring in. So can we make that workflow better by knowing that they're going to dump something on disk with that particular file name when they have a new version, and we treat it as such? But I get your point here, where the Jupyter server already knows about the image.
Yeah.
Cool.
That's weird that your iframes aren't working, Wesley.
Yeah, that could be Jupyter Lab, to be honest. I can try it again.
In a tree, yeah.
Oh, I hope this is just a normal notebook. it's also trying to use the accelerator. So I don't know if it. Yeah, I don't know. At least got a. It wouldn't surprise me that my machine's broken. I do so much rubbish stuff on it. But, experimental, I think it's probably the version of everything I've got on my machine.
That's funny.
Cool. Well,
Awesome.
thank you, folks. Lovely to see you again.
Yeah, always a pleasure.
Yeah.
Cool. Catch up
Till next week.
See you next time. Yeah.
Cool.
Bye-bye.
Okay. Bye-bye.